somebody has to take the fall for this. The NBA has to suspend somebody because you cannot have this hoovering over your league. You cannot have a team that's on Adam Silver's watch that's being accused of cheating. You saw that happen, right? When it went down with the New England Patriots. Look what happened. Somebody took the fall. Your friend Tom Brady was a part of that, right? And so who takes the fall for this? I don't know, but somebody has to.
No Free Lunch is presented by T. Rowe Price. The information provided on this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial or legal advice. Always consult with a qualified financial and or legal professionals before making any legal or financial decisions or investments. I'm Ndamukong Suh, and welcome to No Free Lunch, where we talk to experts and athletes about how the most successful people in sports manage their money and grow their wealth. We've talked about endorsement contracts here on No Free Lunch, and there's one particular deal that has made a lot of noise. That one deal was broken down by Pablo Torre. It was a 4-year, $28 million deal signed by Kawhi Leonard that seemingly looked like there was no work to be done and a circumvention of the NBA salary cap, which is a big no. Endorsement deals are offered to athletes all the time, and I know it all too well. I've been offered plenty of deals. So nonetheless, let's jump into it with my guy, Jabari Young, right here on No Free Lunch. My man, Jabari, big dog, appreciate you showing up. I'm in your city. So
technically not, man. I'm from Philly, but I see what you're saying. I see you are in my city.
I'm in your town for the moment.
Yeah, and let people know, man, it's the second time, right? We did the first time first face to face, right? But the second time I'm able. Let me shake this brother's hand on camera. It's the second time I'm able to shake his hand on camera, man. For sure. We've been knowing each other 2021. I've been interviewing you, and now we're able to do this, man. So listen, thank you for having me back.
No question, man. I'm excited about this. This topic that we're about to get into is a very interesting and timely one.
Yeah, I thought y'all set me up at this one at first.
Why is that?
Because it's Kawhi Leonard.
Okay. Yes, you got a lot of ties with Kawhi in that organization and things that are going on. But honestly, what is the whole situation that we've been dealing with? I hear you got a lot of inside scoop, a lot of inside information of what's been going on with the Kawhi and the Clippers and the ownership.
Pablo Torre, yeah. You know, so funny, man. So when this all happened, you know, I get a text message from some friends of mine, right? They send me the first text message is of Mark Cuban. He had tweeted out a story of mine that I wrote when I was at CNBC. And I'm like, well, what did I miss? Like in my Drake voice, right? What did I miss? and another friend of mine immediately texts me after. He says, hey, man, Pablo Torre is talking about something on a podcast about Uncle Dennis and your stories. I'm like, what in the world? And I log on like everybody else, go to the ESPN or New York Times app. Let's say the New York Times, the Athletic. And you see the story. And Ndamukong, man, I was like surprised. I was taken back. Because not only, you know, I'm having now these flashback memories of when I used to cover Kawhi, when I used to have interactions with his Uncle Dennis, and then talking to Steve Ballmer over a few years since he built that massive building into a dome out in Los Angeles. I'm thinking like, wait a minute, all of this stuff was happening while I was reporting this, like all this going on behind the scenes. Credit to Pablo Torre, you know, for breaking that story. It's so interesting, man, because it didn't sound like a Kawhi Leonard. It didn't sound like the Kawhi Leonard I knew when I covered.
So let's talk about that. So what would be because I've been around Kawhi a little bit, and more so because of my big brother Ime Udoka and him being with the San Antonio Spurs and that whole organization and being around those guys. But ultimately, like, what is Kawhi like as a guy? Because I haven't spent much time or outside of high and by. And really, I know Jeremy, his cousin, that is super dope and fun-loving and all that stuff. But what is Kawhi like?
I tell people, man, he's one of the more down-to-earth guys. You know, think about it like yourself. Me and you were just talking about this, right? How on the field you had a reputation, but off of it, you're a big teddy bear. And I tell people, Kawhi is that guy. He may not be the teddy bear, but he's not this, you know, guy that's just mute in the corner. He has a personality. He loves West Coast hip hop. He loves, you know, kind of talking about things that he know, right? Things that he likes, movies and things of that nature. So he's very funny when you get him in a room by himself and you start talking, he'll throw off a little joke of sarcasm. You say, wait, Kawhi, was that some sarcasm right there? And you don't know that side of him comes out because you don't see it. But I've been around this dude for a long time. Been around him since 2014 after the Spurs won a championship. Had a chance to go out to Moreno Valley, sit down with his family. His Uncle Dennis was there. Strong Black family, you know what I mean? And so I never thought for 1 second when I heard him, like, all right, well, I don't think it was Kawhi that was behind the scenes doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Other family members, I can't say. Uncle Dennis, I can't. But I didn't think it was him because of the personality. He does not come off like that. Yeah. He doesn't come off as the type of guy that's trying to get over. I don't know if he's the type of guy that'll say no to some extra money. Like, I don't know too many people would do that. But I just didn't think that he came off he's
some
corrupt.
Extra money. 4 for $28 million?
100%.
Like, that's not some small chicken.
It's not. But then I just kind of look at it and think, okay, does Kawhi Leonard need the money? Yeah. And I don't think that he did.
Yeah,
right?
penny wise, pound foolish. Like, you're making multi-million. You're making $28 million in a half a season.
100%. Like, and this is where all those other people want to kind of come into your candy jar. Yeah. And they want to take, Now, listen, I have no idea too much of it. I attempted to make phone calls, but I said, I'm going to stay out of this one and let that handle itself. But again, it's just a bizarre story. And if anybody's found guilty, first of all, they need to be penalized. The NBA can't have this because you, of all people, understand nobody likes cheating in sports, not the sports that we come to love. So again, man, it's a bizarre situation, but it doesn't sound like the Kawhi Leonard that I know.
So that's interesting because I want to correlate this to baseball and something that a recent similar scandal. So when it comes to Shohei Ohtani and his handler, created an issue for him very similar to this and was taking money, gambling, things of that nature. So do you believe potentially this was something situation with Kawhi that somebody within his organization that's managing and has access to make a deal like this, sign this deal, and nobody knew behind the scenes that this was going on, or Kawhi didn't know this was happening behind the scenes?
Now that's where it gets tricky. I asked myself, wait, how much of this did Kawhi know about, right? Or was it somebody else, right? Now, listen, all the signs are pointing to his uncle. Yeah. Having been around his uncle, I can tell you that he doesn't strike me as that type of guy at first. Yeah, okay. at first, right? Okay. But we all have something that, now he doesn't strike me as that. But, you mentioned Ime Udoka, a friend of mine as well. Mm-hmm. Nobody could have ever pictured that he would go through what he went through in Boston. Mm-hmm. And what I'm saying is that, sometimes you just have these situations where it just catches you off guard as well. This family did not strike me as that, but there has to have been something. Like, you don't direct that amount of money into an LLC without a whole bunch of people knowing about it. And that's what that is. It's an LLC. Who knows about the LLC? And if you go back and look
underneath the LLC,
100%, you have your LLC, right? You know how that goes.
And LLCs are for privacy at the end of the day. And in regards to Ime's behalf, like, knowing him and knowing that situation too intimately from that standpoint, like, I think we look at things from a negative lens when ultimately there's decisions that people don't know the full story.
100%.
And so we got to understand the full story to then be able to make judgment and give judgment. So I think ultimately it's up to the NBA for them to make a decision once they get hopefully all the data, if they get all the data at the end of the day.
Somebody has to take the fall for this, right? That's how I'm looking at it. And right now, right, listen, don't kill the messenger. All signs point to something. Maybe it's Uncle Dennis who has to take the fall where he gets banned for a little bit, right? Okay. Somebody has to take the fall for this because if you think about the NBA, people already think that the NBA draft is a scam, right? They think that people are in the room and you're going to get this pick, you're going to get that. The Luka Doncic trade didn't help at all, right? He gets traded to the Lakers and all of a sudden the Mavericks get the first pick. So you have a whole bunch of black eyes already in the league. You go back to the referee gambling, you go back to the Palace at Auburn Hills, the Malice at the Palace, and now you have this. This would be a black eye. Donald Sterling, that same organization, this will be another black eye for the NBA. Somebody has to take the fall because I watched Steve Ballmer's interview and I mean, I've talked to the guy before. I just don't think he's the guy. This is all me, my opinion. That is just easy to con.
And it's interesting that you say that because Steve Ballmer, and I did not see that full interview, but I know it was on ESPN if I'm not mistaken. And ultimately, he's not denying it, but he's saying possible deniability that he just doesn't know. Well, I would imagine a guy, yes, I understand that you are billions and billions and billions of dollars.
Top 10 richest person in the world.
But ultimately, you can't be that far removed of where your money and your investments are going, especially small. That $50 million is not a small check.
100%. And this is where it gets tricky for me because as I was talking to some people in the NBA circles just this very morning, just to call around and say, hey, do you believe it? By the way, not one person said no. Everybody believes that it happened in some sense. The one thing that hit me is like, wait a minute. This is the same Steve Ballmer who wrote a $400 million check for James Dolan to go away. Because in order to build that arena out in LA, people forget James Dolan owned the Inglewood. He owned the other arena, right? Yeah. And rules says that two arenas in NBA, you can't be that close together. So Steve Ballmer had to write a $400 million check, I know because I wrote about it, to James Dolan to get him out of the way, right? $400 million, go home.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's the type of guy that's easy to get conned, right? Yeah. Ain't nobody it's not, that's for me.
Yeah.
I don't believe Steve Ballmer.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it outright. I don't believe him. The interview did not help at all. I think when he was asked outright, did Kawhi's camp, did Dennis ask for anything? He said they know the rules. And if they didn't know the rules, we remind ourselves. He never said no. So it's leaving all of the speculation open. It didn't look good to me.
Yeah.
It did not look good to me. Somebody has to take the fall for this. The NBA has to suspend somebody because you cannot have this hoovering over your league. You cannot have a team that's on Adam Silver's watch that's being accused of cheating. You saw that happen, right? When it went down with the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
Look what happened. Somebody took the fall.
Yeah.
Your friend Tom Brady was a part of that, right? Yep. And so who takes the fall for this? I don't know, but somebody has to. You've been in a league, Ndamukong, and your history, you said you read and you found joy in reading over the contracts.
Yeah.
Is there anything in those contracts that maybe you saw that you didn't like? And how many times does this happen in the NFL where something is, you sign one deal and the owner says, don't worry about it, we got something on the other side for you, right? How many times did that happen?
It's never happened to me.
And your brethren?
I can't speak of other people. I don't know about other people's situations, and I like to worry about myself at the end of the day. And obviously, I think I'd love to help other people if it makes sense, but I think the genesis of it is that if you're behooving yourself and you're not being a studious human being, if you're not involved at some level.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to always be in part of those conversations in some form or fashion, whether it's high level, fully immersed, or something in between at that standpoint. And for me, I'll give you this example. I just was offered a 3-year deal with a media company, and I read every single page. 15 pages. But to me, it's important for me to know that information, and know the data protection item, to know the terms of the high level of the conversation. It's important for me to understand those different things, because if I don't, then how can I move and how can I act and be and make sure I'm always in process and doing the right things at all times? So to me, I think it's good to have attorneys and it's good to have accountants. It's good to have these different people, but they're just resources. They're not actually doing the work for you.
Well, if you were involved in an NFL deal and maybe the owner was giving you a little wink that he can set something else aside, would you have done it now, looking back on it? Because especially if he could assure you that no one was going to find out unless, of course, this company goes bankrupt, which is where it found out publicly.
So I'll give you this. I would do it. And I'll give you this example. Stephen Ross and the Miami Dolphins make me the highest paid player, defensive player of the year. I would like to have the opportunity to invest alongside him. Why would he not give me that opportunity? I'm one of his best players on his team. I'm proving all these different things from that, and I'm actually learning and I should earn the opportunity to be alongside him, alongside those sovereign wealth funds that invested in Hudson Yards. So I think you position it differently versus hand me a favor, give me an opportunity.
Was that against the rules that wasn't?
I technically think it would be against the rules, but I would fight against it because it's not really, it shouldn't be against the rules from the standpoint of I actually put the time, energy, and effort no different than any other person. I actually happen to have a relationship with them, so I have access to them. That's not my fault.
Yeah. Well, see, but this is where it gets tricky. And just going back to the NBA's front, because you have a whole bunch of conflicts of interest as it is because the gambling companies. Yeah. Owners are involved in gambling companies, and the new CBA says that players can be involved in somewhat. And so if this is the way that you're going to start to do business for every league, now you think of the Kawhi situation a little bit differently, and you say, well, what makes this different than anything else because of what's happening? It's conflict of interest all over the place.
And I also look at it as like, who is not trying to win and create an unfair advantage?
Right.
That's the whole point of playing sports, and even in business and in life. I want an unfair advantage, whether it's for my kids' education or if it's for me to make money or for me to do whatever I'm trying to do. I want to create an unfair advantage. What does that? knowledge, relationships, and being able to have resources.
Yeah. And I don't know any player at all, no matter how stand up that this guy or girl may be, that's going to turn down an extra $20+ million, you know, especially if it's, you don't have to do anything, just come along for the ride type. I don't know when so many people are going to do that, right? But still.
But that's where I think it becomes illegal, when you're not actually doing something for it. You just were given a check to just be given a check for something that was directly correlated to a different source. Now, if he's getting a deal because, I like him because he's a Clipper and he's actually doing something for me, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I just happen to be in a great situation. It'd be no different than Magic doing what he did when he had the opportunity to say, hey, I play for the LA Lakers. I'm going to go get to know every single suite holder or in every single courtside owner. And guess what? They're all Lakers fans, and they all love me because I'm winning for their best for their team. So they're going to give me business opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfair advantage.
It is. And then
it's not a circumvention of the cap.
But is it cheating though? Because
I don't think it's cheating.
That's where the public perception has to, like, because again, no fan likes when players or teams get caught cheating, especially in this religion that we call in sports in North America, right? That's unheard of. Go get extra money.
Yeah.
Take extra money, go play somewhere else, but don't cheat. And that's where it gets tricky at, because if you're circumventing the cap, it's looked upon as cheating. You can't do this, and so it's cheating. And so that's where it gets kind of tricky for me, because if this is looked upon as cheating, and this is where I'm saying somebody has to take the fall, whether it be the same discipline that the NBA handed to the Minnesota Timberwolves decades ago, right? I don't know if you void Kawhi's contract, but I definitely think you ban his uncle. And then you have to sit Steve Ballmer. And you cannot fine Steve Ballmer because money means nothing to him. He has enough of it. You kick him where it hurts, and that is you're not allowed at the games. Wow. I think that would hurt him way more, that you can't be there. You can't see Kawhi hitting the last jump. You can't be in the building cheering because this happened on your watch. I think if you do that, he sits out for a year, then it all goes. The New Orleans Saints had to go through the same thing, did they not? The head coach had to sit on the side for a year, right? Yeah. This is what you hurt. You hit people where it hurts. You're not allowed the game. Uncle Dennis, I'm sorry, you're out of here as well. The only problem with Kawhi is if they try anything with him, the Players Association is going to have a battle with that.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't see that going anywhere.
Big grievance and all these different things, and I don't know if Kawhi has said this or not, but I'm assuming that he's denying that he had anything to do with it.
I don't think Kawhi's going to say anything at all. I think
which is a smart decision.
Yeah, absolutely. Next question, or not even. I'm not going to talk about that right now. I don't see Kawhi answering it, not one bit. And you keep your mouth shut, and it goes away under there. That's the thing. Last thing for me, I wanted to know. Because we talk about this whole Kawhi thing, and it gets down to him getting $28 million or signing up for not doing a damn thing, right? Yeah. Have you ever encountered a deal, whether it be sponsorship-wise or something off the side, where you know you wasn't giving your best, you know for a fact that they were overpaying you, right? But it didn't matter because this is free money for you, right? Do you remember one of and when you think about it, like, would you go back to that moment and says, you know what, I know I could do more. I can give more effort to at least make the deal or give it a better return on investment?
I mean, I don't think I've ever been in a situation where I've just gotten money to do nothing. Like where I would spin it and tell you where it's more an enjoyment for me that I'm getting paid to do this is like Nike. Like, you're telling me I get to be a Nike athlete. You're going to give me all the shoes in the world. You're going to pay me to wear something I'm already going to wear. And you're also going to fly me to Rio for the World Cup. I mean, to Brazil for the World Cup. Yeah. You're going to put me in Dick's Sporting commercials. Like, these are things that are fun and I see as exciting. So it's like, it's low-hanging fruit and it's easy to me because it's stuff that I want to do anyways. And so I look at a deal like that as saying, all right, that I got away scot-free, and I've been able to get away scot-free with that if I'm cheating for the last 15 years plus. That's how I would look at it from that perspective. But I can't think of a deal. It's like, I mean, maybe signing autographs, like these card deals. Like I'm sitting at home signing blindly and I'm getting $30K for each little slip that I'm doing.
Yes.
Yeah, that would probably say I'm stealing that way.
Yeah. So now maybe when you get this other deal, you will actually sign and look at the cards this time, right? When you sign.
I'll look at these cards.
Right. So it makes you feel like you're actually putting the work in.
Yes, I'll do that now.
Yeah. Does it make you, I mean, you're a big basketball fan, right?
For sure.
Does it make you want to cheer more for the Clippers or cheer against them now because hey, y'all might have cheated? Or does it make you want to support them like, at least y'all tried? It's gangster. Y'all tried it. Right now I'm going to cheer for you even more because at least you tried it.
Let's just be frank. The Clippers ain't going nowhere no time soon.
I actually disagree
Whether
with
they got Kawhi, James Harden, it don't matter who they got. They ain't going nowhere time soon. One, they on the West Coast.
Yeah.
In that division, they going to have to deal with my big dogs in Houston, let alone they got to deal with the big dogs in Dallas. Like, you might want to move the whole team to the East Coast and have an opportunity.
I actually think this is going to, give the Clippers that extra advantage, right? Or that extra edge to go out and say, man, y'all tried to embarrass our owner. And if I'm a player, now I want to play for Steve Ballmer even more, thinking I'm going to get a contract like that. I'm going to get a hookup on the side, right? Like if you're a player and you see an owner at least going all out to at least try. Listen, Steve Ballmer, before he built that Intuit Dome, I remember walking through that building with him and he was telling me, man, I may have to spend an extra such and such $1 million. I'm like, why? This is because they told me if I got about 13 sneaker stalls for the players now, I want to put an extra one in there because these guys like sneakers, but I have to tear all this stuff down. I'm like, wait, you going to spend extra millions just to put an extra sneaker stall in guys' locker room? That's the type of owner you're dealing with. So as a player now, knowing, he's going to give me extra stall sneakers for my sneakers, and he's going to maybe give me a little wink on the side. Is that not willing? It's like, if I'm a player now and I'm a free agent, I'm looking at the Clippers. I'm thinking to myself, maybe I can go out there and get something a little sweet. And this time, I'm not going to make sure that it's not going to say no. See, Kawhi's mistake is he set up with K2L as the LLC. If he wouldn't have done that, I don't think nobody would have known what it was. If you would have said something like UD, which stands for Uncle Dennis, right? UD LLC, nobody wouldn't have figured that out.
Okay.
Nobody wouldn't have figured that out, right?
So it sounds like you need to be their lawyer.
Man, listen, I'm telling you, sometimes you got to know how to just circumvent the system and not leave some bread. But as I'm saying, as a player, right, would that make you want to go there?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's like saying on the flip side, Deflategate got away and they want some chips. They did some stuff up there. Am I going to New England? Hell no.
Why?
What?
You get you
to
just
New England.
It's cold. but that's
What's in New England?
A winning franchise.
Since when?
Since Brady was there. Since your guy was there.
Exactly
legacy,
my point.
Legacy.
Nah, I'm cool. I'm going to build my own legacy in Tampa, L.A., or Detroit.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. With an LLC on the side, just in case somebody want to put some money in there, right?
Man, nah, all I need is, hey, the Fords. All right, let's have some, let me go back to their organization. We're going to get back together. Give me some car deals.
That's a fair. That's fair. It's like the
Let
old.
Me drive around some Fords, and then we can have a conversation about stuff going. Or how about you do this? Give me a couple dealerships. Let's do this.
There you go.
Give me. I need Ford. I need about over the next 20 years. I need 5 open points at your cost.
It sounds like those kind of old school Michael Jordan stories. You hear like the legacy goes, or the legend, I should say. The legend goes like, Jordan, when you always seen him in those nice Corvettes, he would get them from around Chicago, right? But they said, Mike, we don't want your money. Drive the car around. Just put the license plate on it that says dealership right there. So, right?
That's like, branding.
Branding. There you go.
That's branded.
Yeah.
Ford, you want me to brand? I can do some branding for you. 5 open points.
Isn't that like, but listen, what if Jerry Reinsdorf, the Chicago Bulls owner, did that deal? Like, yo, man, anything he wants, just go give him. It's the same difference. You're getting, it's the same thing.
It's the same difference, but MJ actually has the reputation and the prowess to be able to say, hey, this dealer came from a third party. I'm driving this car, which is nothing wrong with this because now it's legal in NIL. I'm driving this car, giving you guys awareness because that tag on the back of that license plate, that's all illegal, is I'm marketing for you guys. Yeah. I get out the car, snapping pictures. What's in there? The car and your tags. That's legal.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with that. Now, if Kawhi would have showed up and done whatever for this group for the $28 million, and he still could go back and do it if that is the case.
Nah, they bankrupt. Ain't no business for him to do nothing there. Right? They done.
Hey, that is fair. But
they're done.
that's where I think they just got to cut the cat a different way.
Yeah, well, listen, and I get you out of here on this, man. NIL, you mentioned this, and we look at it from a long-term point. With NIL and the way it's operating now, I would only think more kids are going to come into these leagues looking for some type of backroom deal to add on, because this is what they're experiencing right now in NIL. And you let me know if I'm wrong. Like, there's a whole bunch of backroom deals being done on the NIL front. It's the Wild Wild West right now. When you have that mindset going into the league, are you just going to just abandon it when you get there? Or are you thinking to myself, nah, I could swing this?
That is a very fair point. And I think the NIL side of things, and they've had a deal with Deloitte and some of these different organizations to kind of manage that now. Yeah. And which is going to be interesting to how you actually do manage it, because now the schools can pay, but also the collectives outside can still pay and create these different opportunities. But I think the unfair advantage is, you got to talk to your boosters.
Yeah.
Who wants to be a part of this? Who really wants to put money behind this? Who really wants to put effort behind this? And I think that's the key piece. And that's going to set different organizations apart from others, because guess what? It's no different if PE comes in. PE is going to go for the best, shiniest brand. And so put all of the money behind them to help them win and get the best players and best athletes.
Yeah. And that's exactly.
It's no different than owners.
Yeah. No different than owners. And which speaks to me. And listen, I don't want this conversation to come across the wrong way.
Okay.
I'm cheering for the Clippers. And I still like Steve Ballmer.
Yeah.
And I'll still talk to Steve Ballmer.
Yeah.
I hope he doesn't lie to me, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I think that what they did is wrong, but I do not fault them for trying. If they get found guilty, right? Nothing wrong with trying it, right? And I respect that. And when you're trying to win, and Steve Ballmer is the one thing I want to say, the man wants to win a championship very, very bad. Enough so, right, where these type of things. But I refuse to believe he was conned. You do not write a $400 million check or build a big giant arena out there, and was once at one point leading Microsoft with Bill Gates. Do you see Bill Gates getting conned? Hell no.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I don't disagree with you on that. Him being conned is a far-fetched. You got too many
top lawyers,
smart people in and around you, let alone yourself, to be able to put yourself in that type of position. But nonetheless, man, Jabari, I appreciate the conversation, the time. It's always good to see you in person. And man, we'll come back and get another
next
good
time.
conversation.
Let's just do this joint in LA at the Intuit Dome, man.
You got all the juice. I'm ready.
I'll ask.
I'm there next week. Let's go.
Let's go at the Intuit Dome.
It's time for the Confidently Curious question, where we ask questions that are one step ahead. Sponsored by Piro, where they believe that asking better questions can lead to better outcomes. So my Confidently Curious question of the day is, what's the word that means ongoing increase in the price of various goods and services over time? A, inflation. B, interest. C, tariffs. The answer is A, inflation. A word most of us have heard way too often. It's when prices of many different things across the whole economy rise at the same time, and then they keep rising. That's our Confidently Curious question for the week. Thanks to our sponsor, Piro, for modeling the power of better questions and their approach to making better investment decisions. Piro proudly sponsors No Free Lunch. The views expressed in this podcast are those of the podcast participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Piro. Their sponsorship supports the platform and does not imply endorsement of specific content or perspectives. Man, great conversation with my guy, Jabari. Ultimately, I think people and entertainers and athletes and business people in general need to have a solid team to have checks and balances. To avoid situations, but also potentially look at not having family as a part of those different things. And ultimately focusing on having people that are experts in that space, attorneys, tax accountants, all the above, that will give you straightforward, raw, and direct information and tell you right from wrong. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe to No Free Lunch on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.